So I have not exactly been a gamer for quite some time now. Ever since Halo Reach and Black Ops 2, I've kind of been an on and again, off again gamer for the better part of 14 years, I would say, with some few exceptions. You know, The Witcher 3, Expedition 33, and New World. I know it's a very controversial game to like, but I love the game personally. When the first like month of that game was great. But since then, again, I haven't really played a whole lot of video games, and this is my attempt of getting back into the hobby. So I played PalWorld for 4 days, and this is my experience. First, I want to mention that my PC is not the greatest. I want to upgrade eventually, but low-key, I'm kind of saving up for a hair transplant because this hairline is not what it used to be. So I was like, if I want to spend $3 grand on a PC, I could just spend an extra $3 grand to get hair that actually goes to the top of my head, which I think is what I want to do, honestly. But yeah, so I just want to point that out because it did take me about 5 minutes to actually load into the game. Once I got into the game, I created a character that I thought matched my IRL aesthetic and hopped into the game. I got greeted by this very minimalistic cutscene with some pals running around and immediately got into the gameplay. I threw a few punches in the air, saw a dude aura farming by a campfire, and decided to go talk to the bloke. I will say, guys, I'm more of a story kind of gamer rather than a gameplay gamer. I care about an immersive world, and whenever I don't see or hear voice acting or really any cutscenes, it kind of is hard for me to really picture myself in this world because I don't know, I just don't feel connected to it in the way that I guess other people do. I also noticed that there wasn't really a whole lot of music in this game. It's very quiet. So I basically had to use my second monitor to watch my boy Asmongold just for a little bit of background noise. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot like just sit in silence. I really just cannot do that. But I started by gathering some materials and built my first structure. And right around this time, I realized my first big problem with the game. You literally have to hold down the button to build something. I've tried to change this setting multiple times, even as going as far as looking on Reddit, which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy to go on Reddit just to see if I could change this setting. But I couldn't figure it out. At least if there's a way, let me know, please, because I haven't seen it. But regardless of if you can actually change this setting or not, I actually do think this is quite annoying, and I don't really think there's any real reason to have this inside the game, because what benefit does it have to make you hold down a key for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to craft something? It just doesn't seem like that should even be part of a game. There should be some type of AFK auto craft mechanic. I know that your pals can do that as well, but for me, I'm just not a huge fan of that. So after building and crafting some things, I go around looking for materials to build and craft more things. Personally, I like survival crafting games, so it didn't really bother me. I didn't mind this portion of the game. And then I started beating the shit out of some pals with a baseball bat. And this is where I noticed my second problem with the game is that the combat is very clunky. And so far, I'm not actually a huge fan of the way the game actually plays. But then again, it's a small studio that was being sued by the Pokemon company, so I'll cut them some slack. Maybe they can make the gameplay a little bit smoother. I don't really think that, you know, a year, 2 years into development, it's gonna change. But I guess I will cut them some slack because they are a small studio, but the combat does not feel very great so far. So after I crafted a few more things, I tried to fix the toggle crafting button again to no avail. I caught a few more pals, made some food. Then I realized I can actually make my pals my little slaves, and obviously as a white man, it's in my DNA to do so, so I put them to work pretty much right away. And this girl I was talking to hit me up super late at night asking what I was doing, and I responded appropriately, of course. Then I leveled up some of my stat points, and I'm pretty sure my specs are all fucked up because every time I leveled up something, it was to deal with whatever annoyance the game basically had. So in this case, I leveled up work speed because I was annoyed that I had to hold down the craft button for multiple sessions. But then it doesn't really matter as much with leveling up work speed because then you can just get your pals to basically do things while you're away. The problem with that though is sometimes you need things right away before you start actually going to other parts of the map. So for example, whenever I later on made a crossbow, that crossbow took like 10 minutes to make, and it would have taken my pals even longer to make. And I'm not going to just sit there waiting for my pal. Like, what am I going to do? Just go AFK, walk my dog while my pals are creating my crossbow? To me, it just feels very counterintuitive. You want me to play the game, yet we have these like crazy long crafting speeds. And then you also have to actively hold down the button to craft. It didn't feel great to me. But I gathered some more materials, made a tiny little house for me and my pals, put a roof on most of the house, built some beds for us. And me personally, I do like the gameplay loop of gathering and crafting. It's why I love New World so much. It's why I loved RuneScape so much. There's something so beautifully mind-numbing about chopping trees for hours. I don't know. And like collecting and gathering materials and crafting, I personally just really like it. Would say I'm a grinder, right? I downloaded the app Grinder to meet other hustlers, but for some reason they were always just trying to fuck me and not actually grind. So I don't know. Maybe I downloaded the wrong app. You guys tell me. Anyway, I started beating up some more pals and exploring the world of pals, capturing new slaves for my home. Then I see this big guy right here, King of the Forest. I don't think I'm ready to take on the bloke right now, so I did a bit of maneuvering around him because I didn't know how aggro these guys can be. I find these daydream pals, and when they're in your party, they turn into these little cannonballs and just start annihilating everything you aggro. They kind of carried me throughout the first portion of my playthrough, but they could not carry me through this part because I got my first death trying to fight this elk type of pal. And let me tell you guys right now, the little spear that I have equipped, that doesn't do jack shit to this fucking pal because he was just going sicko mode on me with all different types of moves. I thought the daydreams were going to take the aggro, but bruv completely ignored them and hit me with the two-piece chicken tender combo and sent me straight to the Shadow Realm. So I respawned, make my way to get my shit back, almost die again. Then I go back to base and put on another daydream in my party for more firepower because that spear legit does not do shit, I'm telling you guys. And I know I was probably at the time not really using my pals super correctly. I wasn't really type matching either, so that could have also been on me as well, I will say. I could have probably maneuvered a little bit better, but it was around this time that I was like, okay, I'm gonna just forego the spear. I'm gonna make a little bow and arrow because I was tired of having to balance running and then actually attacking with my spear because they use the same stamina bar. So if you are attacking with your spear and then your what's it called is about to charge, the pal that you're attacking, you're just gonna get hit because you're out of stamina. So it didn't really feel great like that balancing it. Maybe it gets better later on. I don't see why anyone would use the spear when you have the bow and arrow available because you can just stay healthier too. But yeah, it was around this time I built the bow and arrow just because I was tired of actually attacking at close range and just getting annihilated by the damn pals. After that, I noticed that some of the pals at my base made really incredibly annoying sound effects every few seconds, so I went into the settings to see if I could turn that off too. So you guys can tell there are a lot of things I don't necessarily love about the game, some annoyances for sure, but somehow I actually left day one feeling like I wanted to play more, which is surprising. But before I ended day one, I actually got my revenge on the elk type of pal and actually captured it, which was great because that, along with the daydreams, was enough firepower. It was the perfect amount of firepower I needed to get through the rest of the area because that elk is actually fucking insane. That thing like legit carried me throughout most of my playthrough, I will say. And after that, we begin day two. Turns out my computer did not capture day two for some reason. Maybe my hair transplant money should probably go to a PC if I'm going to do YouTube. I mean, obviously not full time considering I have 242 subscribers, but if I'm going to do more video game stuff, maybe I should actually buy a new PC. Starforge PC, if you guys are watching this, I really want that free run bundle. I'm a big free run guy, big free run fan myself. So if you guys see this, hook a brother up, I will say. But let's pick back up where we actually have the next available VOD, which is day 3. I guess I got this dire howl, a saddle, and now I can actually get around the map without wanting to commit suicide. Looking at the map, it looks like I did this tiny area so far in the past couple days. I should also note, guys, that whenever I say I've played 4 days of this game, it's probably a total of like 12-ish hours, I will say. I'm an adult, right? I'm not 15 anymore, so I can't just play 7 hours of video games per day. My time is very limited from like training for a triathlon, my business, on top of all the other things that I have going on in my life, you know, so I can't exactly play a whole lot. Maybe if this YouTube thing takes off, maybe I can actually play a lot more. Like the video, subscribe if you guys like this so far. But anyway, I started running around with my wolf and decided to fight this level 10 syndicate trial versus a girl that Cartoon Network convinced me I should probably be obsessed with when I grow up. Keep in mind, I still have that puny bow and arrow from the beginning of the game, so I'm legit just tickling this boss with like 50 damage arrows, and my little pal is carrying me like LeBron in the fucking 2016 Cleveland Finals. Like, oh my god, like they are doing all the damage. And I've said this a lot so far, but these are the type of battles that make you really see how clunky and bad the combat really feels. When you're fighting the big bosses specifically, it just feels like all you can do is run around obstacles and make your pals kind of draw the aggro while you hit them from afar. It seems like that's like the best strategy that I found. And right when I was about to finish the bloke off, he kind of pounced on me and I was already low on health, so he just squad wiped me and I was just going back to the gulag. I took a break from the boss fight for a bit and started gathering and crafting more. I noticed around this time too that I'm not a huge fan of the hunger system. I know in a lot of survival crafting games, which this is like kind of a survival crafting game, that you have a hunger system. I'm just not a huge fan of the frequency in which you have to feed everybody, because you have to feed your pals in your base, you have to feed your pals in your party, and you have to feed yourself, right? So there's a lot of food that's getting eaten basically every single day, and it felt like I had used way too much time, and I spent way too much time actually gathering and crafting food just for the pals at my base to fucking eat it. So if I was the developers, I would make all of the pals just consume 50% less food, or you know, their hunger bar increases by 50% or something like that, because this was incredibly annoying to keep managing the food over and over again. It was just too complicated for my liking. It took away from the gameplay. But anyway, I made some arrows, swapped out my party pals a bit, and went right back to my virtual girlfriend for a rematch. I don't think I was super efficient with my what are they called, the elk deer, because I got massacred in the first 2 minutes of the fight, 1 minute of the fight. So I swapped out to a wisp paw, took a bit more damage, and now I'm critically low. Can I do it though? Can I beat this boss battle? Can we defeat my virtual girlfriend and pass the level 10 trial? No, we sure as fuck cannot do that. So basically, I had to do a 2 years in sub-buddy arc training, or training arc, just because, fuck man, the Syndicate Tower is really hard to beat. So I got to get my crew stronger. I got to get stronger for the good of my crew. So I spent a good hour or so terrorizing the world of pals, coming back to the base, crafting some more. Another issue I had with this game is with the storage management. I wish when you deposited things into chests, they would automatically group together all of the materials that you have so far, because it felt like I spent a long time kind of figuring out where my items are even at to begin with, and like what chest has what group of items. And because the chests have so little space, at least initially, it was really hard for me to actually like figure out where to group everything, where to put everything, and I was kind of organizing too much. So for me, I wish the chest management was a little bit better. I do like how you can craft from the chest. So for example, if you're crafting anything from the stations, anything in your chest you're able to use without taking it out. However, I'm just not a huge fan of just the way it's organized right now with the chests in general. I think that can be said about really any game though, but this in particular did not feel great in my opinion. So after crafting and organizing and crafting again, I went back to terrorizing pals for XP, but I quickly ran into a boss that just fucked me up in 5 seconds. And I have to say, this game is actually kind of difficult. It's really hard in certain situations. It seems like the human NPC's movement is really bad, but the pals that you fight against actually just fuck you up really quickly, and there's not really a whole lot of counterplay for it. I know you can do a better job type matching, as well as like micromanaging, but it just seems like if you are not properly geared or properly leveled, these pals are just going to kill you no matter what, and you can't actually even do enough damage to these guys before they can just take out your pals and then eventually kill you. Which is why I spent most of day 3 pretty much just farming and terrorizing pals and fighting boss battles, going through dungeons. I fought this level 12 Hawk Syndicate guy, and then after that I did this dungeon thing, and it was kind of a big area that I couldn't even find the boss, but it felt pretty anticlimactic because it was so big that I was like, I didn't even feel like finding the boss. So I ended up just kind of circling back and coming back from where I came from after I got a bunch of chests and crafting materials, and then just kind of exited the dungeon. I didn't even find the boss. I don't know if that's like a good or a bad thing, really. But while I was doing my training arc, I ran into these little butterfly pals, and I was most definitely not ready for what kind of power that these butterflies had, because I had to run with my tail between my legs, guys. I was getting fucked up by these butterflies. Then I went back to base. I finally figured out how to make ingots, and holy shit, it made a world of difference because now I can actually craft good items. I guess what happened was I missed in the technology upgrades. I missed where the technology facility where you could actually make ingots. So I was like way past the level to actually make ingots, but I was like, okay, maybe I unlock it at this level. Maybe I unlock it at this level. It wasn't until like level 12 or 13 that I actually knew. I was like, okay, let me go back to the very beginning because there's no way I can't make a fucking ingot yet. Yeah, it turns out I could have made it at like level 7. So maybe this is why it was so hard for me. So then I spent a long time gathering and crafting and gathering and then storing things in chests until I saved up enough to finally make this epic crossbow with a schematic that I got from somewhere, I don't know where. And guys, this is where holding down to craft felt terrible. It felt so bad because this legitimately took like 10 minutes of holding down the fucking F button to craft. And so I literally with my left hand was holding down the F key, and with my right hand I was scrolling Instagram reels. It was so fucking annoying, bro. And I couldn't just leave it to my pals because they were going to take even longer than I would. So I was like, okay, do I want to waste 15 minutes of in-game time for my pals to fix to make this? Or do I want to just hold it and then like scroll reels or, you know, do shit on RuneScape or something like that, watch a YouTube video? I don't even know. But it felt really bad. This is like the most annoying I felt, or annoyed I felt playing this game. And after I got that crossbow finally done, I made a bunch of other random crafting stations before calling it for day 3. And with all the training and crafting I did, I started day 4 rematching my girlfriend for the last time, and this is how it went. Turns out the crossbow does a shit ton of damage, and I beat the challenge super easily once I had the correct gear, I will say. And after that challenge, I just started exploring more dungeons and exploring more of the area just because the crossbow does a shit ton of damage. So I felt pretty invincible, just exploring around. And with the crossbow and my new pals leveled up, I felt like I could really take on anything. So I went around, I went demon time, just like Mizkif, and with that crossbow, I was just exploring new areas. I was, you know, hitting licks on pals, killing them while they were sleeping for XP, capturing them while they were sleeping. They literally woke up and they were in my possession the whole time. They didn't even know, right? And I leveled up quite a lot. I explored quite a lot, upgraded some of my gathering equipment from stone to metal variants, made some more food because my base pals are fucking bottomless pits of hunger. And since I was popping off around the map, I decided to fight that king of the forest looking mammoth I saw in day 1, and immediately hitting him with the crossbow, I realized that I do 1 damage, whereas the other guys I was fighting, I was doing like 400 to 500 damage with the crossbow. So I was like, okay, well, I can't kill this guy just yet, so I'm just gonna run away. Then I went and did this like penguin raid and captured this like king of penguins, and that was crucial because of what happens a little bit later on in day 4. But do y'all remember that butterfly that we had to run from a little bit ago? Well, not anymore, because that crossbow does a shit ton of damage. And with that, along with my really, really strong pals at this point, I was able to contest him for king of the territory. So with that being said, I was farming that area for about 20 or 30 minutes, leveling up. Then I decided to give the Penguin King a try, and holy shit, guys, that dude was on site, bro. It was like 1v7. He was just like fighting everybody, taking on everyone. He legit reminded me of Piper Perry, bro, just taking everything on by himself. And I really didn't have to do anything other than hit a couple crossbows, because that dude was just like, he would take 3 hits and then he would just penguin slide and do like a 700 damage per person he hit. I mean, it was just crazy. And because I leveled up to around level 20, I think I was 19 or 20 at the time, I was like, well, why don't I try to fight the level 20 syndicate now? Another waifu, okay. And this is where the Penguin King really did not help me out as much as I wanted, because that bitch fucked me up quick. And so I decided to walk around the map for a little bit, level up a little bit more. But what I found was like the gold scar meme from Fortnite. It was like, I was the knight in shining armor in her movie. I saw two kings of the forest fighting, the mammoths. They were fighting each other. So I did the classic pussy maneuver and just let them kill each other and wait till they get low enough, and I was going to throw a pal spear and try to capture them. And I fucking got them, which was really lucky because the one I was aiming for, it died before I even hit it. So the one that I got, I had a 6% chance of actually capturing it because it was so healthy, and I just randomly got it, which I don't know how that was possible, but that literally saved me, because with that and the shield that I crafted when I got back to base, I went back to the level 20 syndicate, and this is kind of how the fight went. It was a little closer than I would have liked, but we got there, baby. We got there. And with that being said, that's kind of the end of the gameplay that I've done so far. My final thoughts on this game are, it's a 7 out of 10 game for me personally. Again, that's just my opinion from a non-real gamer. It's rather fun to play, despite all the issues that I had with it. I do love the core gameplay loop with crafting and gathering pals, and there's some interesting little mechanics here and there. But the world to me is relatively boring. The story is basically non-existent, and the combat feels very clunky and cumbersome. I think I will play more of this game as you know, time goes on. I don't know if I'll finish this game, just because I think I'd rather just spend my time playing games I might like a little bit more. But I do think it's worth the $30 if you guys are going to play it, especially because I think they're probably going to update it a lot. I'm not sure like what their plans for DLC and everything are, but I know they're coming out with a trading card game, so I assume they're going to try to make this into a whole brand, and I assume they're going to try to make the game just better overall. And I think this is a strong start from their first game. Remember, the Pokemon Company, their first game, you know, was a pixelated little side scroller, and look how far they've come, right? So this is their first entry. I don't know who makes the game, but this is their first entry into the world of pals, and I think it's a relatively strong start. I just really hope they fix some of the issues that I had. I'm sure a lot of people had issues with similar things as well. I can't be the only one that finds crafting annoying and the combat feeling pretty lackluster. But again, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel if you like this video. Again, I've been trying to be a little bit more consistent because I do actually like making YouTube videos. It's actually kind of fun and kind of cathartic. And if you guys want to see more of this, then it'd be great to, you know, subscribe, so I know people actually care and like this type of video and like me in general. But with that being said, much love to you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.